Hey, Ernest. It's Adrian from a country far, far away. Holland, that is. Thanks, man. Thanks for your interest in what I do. Let's see. I'm going to start with the first question. Oh, by the way, I feel very honored that you're influenced by my wheedling on my guitars. So yeah, thanks, man. So I'm going to start with the first question. Who influenced me in my guitar playing style? Well, it's assumed that I had a classical training. I didn't. I can't read a note. My sister and my dad are very accomplished classical piano players, so there was always a lot of classical music in the house next to the jazz from my dad. So I guess all that stuff kind of stayed in the back of my mind whenever I hear music in my head, or whenever I play guitar, or whatever. It's one of those subliminal influences, I assume. And yes, of course, I did get influenced by guys like Mozart, Beethoven, and Bach, Paganini, and all that stuff, because it was always around when I was growing up. So yeah, it's pretty obvious. And as far as guitar players go, it definitely started with Jimi Hendrix, early Eric Clapton when he was with Cream, when I think he was at his best. A little bit later, guys like Leslie West, and guys like Brian May, and later on, any guitar player that plays from the heart, whether it's Eddie Van Halen, Michael Schenker, or whoever, I always assume they leave a little bit of a mark, because I just love great guitar players, I suppose. Oh, Jeff Beck. Let's not forget Jeff Beck. So when I first got coined the Flying Dutchman, it was actually David who started announcing me as the Flying Dutchman on stage. It was first of all after me flying all over the stage all the time, and running around, jumping on everything that was a little higher than the stage itself. And also, the Flying Dutchman is a legendary pirate ship, like a ghost ship in all kinds of legends. So I guess it's the combination of that. Canadian bands, I'm not sure whether they've influenced me, but I'm a huge fan of Bryan Adams. As far as his song playing, his songwriting, and his singing and all that stuff. Actually, I went to see him about 2 years ago when he played Holland. Took my daughter with me. She loved it too. As far as bands goes, with my band Vandenberg, we supported Rush at the time. I'm not sure whether I'm influenced by them, but I know that I've always liked the open chords that Alex Lifeson played. So who knows whether it left a little mark. Let's see, the last job before playing music full time, I sold a lot of my paintings at the time, and I made graphic designs for advertising agencies. It's always been art, and I must say, ever since I was 17, I played in professional bands with guys that were a lot older than me, but I actually started making some money as a student by just playing in professional bands. So I was lucky because I could afford a car and better guitars and stuff. As far as your question about being an artist, it doesn't have anything to do with with any financial freedom or whatever, because I was an artist before I actually had the privilege to be able to make a living out of my guitar. Excuse me, it's early in the morning. My guitar playing. Like I said before, I sold already paintings, and I lived off making graphic designs and illustrations for publishing companies and advertising agencies and all the stuff. So yeah, it's always gone hand in hand, my music and my art. Let's see. Why do I paint? Is it therapy? Are you still painting? Yes, I am. I did have a bunch of exhibitions over the years in Germany and France and Belgium and Holland. And I feel very privileged that I've always done well. You know, I've always been able to for people to buy my paintings and to be interested in them. So yeah, it's always been the two, hand in hand, music and art. Rock Then Unplugged. Thanks very much, man. I'm glad you like it. I thought it would be a nice bridge between the second and the third Vandenberg's Moon Kings album, because I always find it a challenge to see if a song still stands up when you completely undress it. And yeah, I did make the cover design again. I must confess, the crop circle, I had to Photoshop it. It does turn out pretty real, and it turned out exactly like I was hoping it to turn out. I had the idea in my head. I thought it was great because it was in the just cropped wheat field that my singer Jan has got a huge farm in Holland, and he just cropped he just harvested his wheat. So I thought it would be great to combine the fact that we recorded on his farm. I took my recording stuff with me, and I had a friend of mine who has an option to do some air photography. So it turned out really nice. Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for giving a shout out to my band. They are very talented guys indeed. The bass player and the drummer, I ran into them when they were about 13 or 14, when I was in the jury of a local talent contest. And already at that age, they were amazing. So when I ran into them later on, 5 years ago, when I formed Vandenberg's Moon Kings, we got together, and we haven't changed ever since. Jan, the singer, I found him when I was looking for a singer for a song that I wrote for my local soccer team, FC Twente. And I was just amazed by his talent, and it all came together naturally. Never had to do any auditions or anything, It felt good, and it feels great on stage. We have a unusual chemistry on stage, and the crowd feels it, so I can tell, it's really cool. A chance of a North American tour, I really hope so. I'm very happy that I ran into, or we just got signed to a top agency in the UK, who is the agency for Billy Gibbons, Joe Bonamassa, Beth Hart, Black Country Communion and stuff. So he's very enthusiastic about our band, and he's very motivated to send us all over the world. So that's what we're going to do, and I hope we can come to North America as soon as possible, because and Canada, of course. There's many Dutch people and people from Dutch descent living in Canada. I think it has to do with at the time when Holland was getting a little difficult for farmers to find lots of land with a similar climate as Holland. So apparently a lot of farmers went to Holland, and to Canada. As a matter of fact, singer Jan in my band, he worked at a Canadian farm for a couple of years ago. So he already got a foothold in your great country. Let's see, two of my favorite bands that have come out in recent years. let's see. Well, I've always really liked a lot of stuff from bands like Foo Fighters. Well, it's not really recent, like Kings of Leon. I've heard a lot of stuff from Rival Sons that I really like. It seems to me that there's a little bit of a resurgence from guitar-based rock bands that have come up in the last couple of years. So yeah, there's hope for a kind of music. I'm not sure, about some comments from a lot of people over the years that it's dying. It's not. The crowd has always been there. It's just getting less attention on a lot of radio stations and stuff. So yeah. Let's see what the other question. What I do for leisure besides paint and making music. It may sound funny to you, but I love to cook. I look at cooking as in the same way as I look at painting and music. Like with painting, you're composing with colors instead of with sounds. The same thing goes for cooking. You're kind of composing with flavors. So to me, it's all very much connected. Music, cooking, painting, writing lyrics, same thing. You're kind of composing with words. So I love all of them. And at the same time, I really take time to enjoy life, because I love traveling. I love skilering, actually, inline skates. I love cruising through the woods on my bicycle. Not enough time for all the stuff that I love. Do I drink coffee or tea? Actually, both. I'm a coffee aficionado. I've got a professional machine in the house. And I really get into the barista thing. My favorite coffee brand in the Netherlands is probably Mocador. It is, but there's a lot of coffee roasters in Holland, like small ones. It's really coming up the last couple of years, and there's still a lot of stuff to try, which I'm going to do. That was basically it. I hope I gave an answer to your questions, and if there's anything, just let us know, and I'll take the time to do it. I really hope we can come to Canada and North America as soon as possible. I would love to, because I know the crowd over there, and I know the bars, interesting as well, especially some exotic ones as well. Anyway, hope to see everybody soon. Take care, man. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.